They told you she was just a fallen woman, a sinner redeemed, a footnote in the chronicles of salvation. But that's the lie. The truth is buried under millennia of dust and secrecy. Mary Magdalene. Her name echoes in the corridors of history. Yet her story remains shrouded in whispers and conjecture. Official accounts paint her as a paragon of penitence, a loyal disciple. But that's just the surface. A veil drawn over something deeper, more profound. Hidden within apocryphal texts, behind the hammer of orthodoxy, lies a narrative daring to challenge the sanctified story. Was she merely a disciple, or something far more controversial? A confidant, an equal, a partner. Many ancient manuscripts hint at a sacred union, yet the ink has barely dried on their acceptance. We are on the edge of a revelation. Her story is a tapestry woven with threads of power, devotion, and mystery. In the time-worn pages of Gospels cast aside, clues beckon. They tease the mind with tantalizing possibilities. Was Mary Magdalene the wife of Jesus? The one who stood at the very heart of a story rewritten through the ages? Remember, history is written by the victors and suppressed by those who fear its truths. Mary Magdalene. The very name echoes through corridors of ecclesiastical power, hunter of truth, shadowed by misinterpretation, an enigma tucked into biblical folds. But beneath her stained glass perception, redemption of a sinful woman, lurks an untold story, one spoken in hushed whispers, fragments scattered like shadows in the annals of time. Orthodox narratives have painted Mary Magdalene broadly and, perhaps, inaccurately. She is frequently portrayed as the redeemed fallen woman saved from 7 demons, anointing the feet of Jesus with priceless oil. But the canonical Gospels, those 4 accepted accounts, tell us a limited tale, not of defiance, but of adherence. Enter the Gospel of Philip, dubbed heretical by the Church. Here, coded within its clandestine scriptures, Mary Magdalene appears prominently, not as a mere follower, but possibly as a beloved, a companion to Christ. In these apocryphal texts, Jesus is said to have loved her more than disciples. A kiss on the mouth, symbolic, yes. Literal, perhaps, but dripping with potential confessions. The Nag Hammadi library divulges more secrets. Pages smuggled from obscurity show a woman with unparalleled access to Christ's teachings. Peter, a towering patriarch, reacts with jealousy, questioning why Mary is privy to revelations. Why indeed, unless she were closer to Christ than any others? This narrative shift posits a radical notion. Was Mary Magdalene a disciple in title alone, or was she the partner to the man who redefined faith? Scholars argue, dissect, reinterpret, papyri against papyrus, ink clashing over millennia, authority against freedom. Critics dismiss these texts as Gnostic imaginings, an opium dream for the theological rebellious. But the question of why these narratives were buried, obliterated from mainstream doctrine, lingers. They challenge a system, threaten patriarchal order, acknowledge women in a dominion where men's roles are undisputed. Her presence at the crucifixion and the resurrection secures her as a key witness. She remains firm when male disciples scatter, courage born of love or devotion, or both. The first to witness the risen Christ, a gift bestowed to her alone, a gesture reeking of significance. Church tradition may have cast her role to the margins, but history lies waiting, obscure yet radioactive. Was she co-leader of a groundbreaking movement or the quiet comfort in Jesus's mortal coils? As we sift through layers of doctrine and dust of centuries, one truth crystallizes. Mary Magdalene's role was pivotal, her true identity elusive. Buried beneath layers of dogma, waiting patiently to be unveiled once more. Begin with the Roman world, a tapestry of power and belief. Patriarchy's iron grip molded society. Men ruled with divine favor, women confined to shaded corners. Yet exceptions existed. Mary Magdalene was one. Galilee, a land of crossroads, Hellenistic influences mingling with Jewish traditions. The socio-religious environment was volatile, a perfect storm for revolutionary ideas. Itinerants roamed this land, spreading teachings, revealing faiths. Jesus of Nazareth was among them, and with him, Mary Magdalene. The Gospels, our primary sources, are cloaked in partiality, written decades after the events, distilled through lenses of time and agenda. Yet they offer clues. Mary is present at pivotal moments, the crucifixion, the resurrection, details often overshadowed by male apostles. But why such prominence? In an era of women's voices stifled, she must have possessed something extraordinary. Leadership, insight, unwavering faith, perhaps all of the above. This was not a time for weak wills. At the crucifixion, courage was scarce. Roman brutality on full display. Disciples scattered, fear their constant companion. Yet Mary stood fast, witness to agony, her presence a testament to resilience, loyalty personified. Then came the resurrection. Here, the narrative changes. Mary becomes the first witness, an honor of immense significance. Christ appears first to her, a detail easily overlooked, yet crucial. A woman bearing witness when men remained absent. Why this privilege? What trust had she earned? The early Christian movement in its formative years was fluid, roles not yet rigid. Mary's presence suggests leadership, a partnership perhaps. Some texts, later branded heretical, hint at this. The Gospel of Philip speaks of her as the companion of Jesus, a term fraught with implications. Was their bond matrimonial or spiritual? Maybe both. As centuries marched on, the Church sought structure, stability. It cast aside ambiguity for doctrine. Mary Magdalene's narrative tangled in this web, her role minimized, her voice muted, recast as penitent rather than powerful. Yet history resists suppression. It seeps through cracks, paints her once more as an influential figure, a cornerstone of early Christianity. Her true identity elusive, yes, but undeniably significant. Despite the layers of dogma, her presence remains radioactive, dangerous to status quo. Her story, a catalyst for re-examining patriarchal structures. As we peel away layers, logic demands consideration of all possibilities. Mary Magdalene, a disciple, a leader, a mystery. Her narrative waits, poised and persistent, ready for its resurrection. The canonical Gospels present Mary Magdalene as a loyal follower of Jesus Christ. She's a witness to his crucifixion, the first to encounter the resurrected Jesus. Yet not a vessel for power, but a symbol of unwavering faith. A penitent Magdalene, a figure molded by the hands of early church architects, insistent on order, control. However, beneath the sanctioned scriptures lie whispers, ancient texts, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Mary. These writings suggest more nuanced relationships, different intimacies. Here, logic demands scrutiny. The mention of Mary in the Gospel of Philip is tantalizing. She is spoken of as a companion. The original Coptic text uses koinonos, a term implying closeness, partnership, even love. The kiss bestowed upon her by Jesus is interpretative. Literalists point to matrimonial bonds. Skeptics, metaphorical kinship. Both views cannot exist without ascribing significance to her presence. Meanwhile, the Gospel of Mary reveals another facet. Here, she displays understanding, courage, and leadership. She converses with the risen Christ, not just a witness but a receiver of esoteric truths. Her insights cause envy, discomfort among the male disciples, indicative of her influence, her stature rivaling their own. History paints these texts as peripheral, Gnostic masterpieces, fringed at the canon's edge. Yet the relevance cannot be ignored. They survived the Church's censors, the burning of heretics, their testimony persistent, illuminating a Mary Magdalene beyond the accepted narrative. In scrutinizing the Gospels, we find dichotomies. The Church's version, a penitent sinner. The alternate texts portray a figure of authority, a confidant. Perhaps, just perhaps, something more. This possibility uproots patriarchal assurances. The notion of Jesus as a husband shifts theological narratives. Positions. Mary Magdalene, not just as a follower, but a pivotal player in divine play. It challenges the foundations of ecclesiastical hierarchies. This is the power of suggestion, the potentiality that tantalizes the truth seeker. As history unfolds, logical deduction cannot ignore these possibilities. The alternate texts offer what the canonical lacks: a thriving Mary, a woman whose legacy poses questions that echo in modern discourse. Was she merely a disciple, or a partner in ministry and more? The Church, driven by desires to simplify doctrine, overlapped divine complexity with human interpretation. But truths, like bodies, can't be buried forever. Mary Magdalene remains a riddle, a cipher in history's web, waiting, ancient echoes resounding through the chambers of modern thought. Mary, disciple, witness, perhaps wife. This narrative awaits the light, poised to free itself from centuries of shadows, ready to reclaim its voice. Medieval legends murmur of Mary Magdalene, a figure cloaked in mystery, whispered secrets, veiled truths, the sacred feminine cradled within layers of myth. Her name rings through time as both symbol and question. Scripture casts shadows over her story. Canonical Gospels mention her 12 times. Yet beyond these verses lies an enigma, not just a follower. Was she more? Could she have been a partner of Jesus, even a wife? Ancient texts suggest what the Bible omits: the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Mary. These apocryphal writings hint at a deeper bond, intimacy, understanding. The followers of Christ reshape doctrines in their image: the Council of Nicaea, the creation of orthodoxy. But with every swing of the theological axe, so-called heresies were cast aside. The figure of Mary Magdalene became obscured, her narrative overshadowed by the male-dominated ecclesiastical structure. She was to become the sinner redeemed, nothing more. Yet in the shadows, whispers persisted. In the Middle Ages, tales of Mary Magdalene's journey to France took root. Legends of her arrival, bearing the teachings of Jesus, perpetrated by the Cathars, the Gnostics, groups that saw her as the epitome of wisdom and grace, subverting patriarchal narratives. History has an ironic way of repeating itself. What was once myth becomes legend. What was once heresy becomes inquiry. Fast forward. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, a modern spark igniting ancient debates. Fiction or theology? It matters not which. The tale of the Grail, perhaps not a cup, but a bloodline, Mary's blood, the mother of the divine descendants, the sacred feminine hidden within codes for millennia. The idea of Mary as a partner, a confidant, strikes a chord in contemporary dialogue, questioning gender roles in faith. But beneath the cloaks of conjecture lies an undeniable search, humanity's quest for connectivity. Whether Mary Magdalene was a wife or simply the first evangelist, her significance is undiminished. She challenges the mold, diverges from submissive archetypes, invites the faithful to reevaluate. The Church silenced complexities, buried varied truths. But history is impatient. Repressed narratives find a way to breathe. Mary Magdalene's story will not remain dormant. Hers is a voice waiting to emerge. Her presence resonates, poses unanswered questions about gender, power, and faith, truth or legend, disciple or more. Her story tantalizes the seeker, beckons exploration, an enduring cipher, elusive yet palpable. Scholars stand at a crossroads when dissecting the enigmatic figure of Mary Magdalene. Academic narratives, ancient texts, and personal interpretations interweave like strands in a complex tapestry. Mary's role, be it of wife, disciple, or something beyond, remains obscured, yet intensely debated within the scholarly community. Gnostic texts emerge as a focal point. Documents like the Gospel of Philip infer intimacy between Mary and Jesus. These texts, buried in the sands of Nag Hammadi, suggest connections deeper than Platonic. The whisper of a conjugal bond stirs curiosity, provides fodder for theorists who question orthodox narratives. Yet historians urge caution. Gnostic writings thrive on allegory, fluid interpretations of spiritual truths, not biographical accounts. Their purpose: exposing celestial mysteries, not chronicling earthly lives. Within academia, this perspective prevails. Gnostic tales are symbols, signifiers, not signatures. Canonical Gospels paint a different picture. Mary Magdalene is the first witness to the resurrection, a herald of divine news, an evangelist ahead of her time, disrupting patriarchal hierarchies. From these texts springs another profound narrative, not a wife, but a disciple, trusted confidant and messenger. Skepticism remains. The lack of conclusive evidence creates silence filled by imagination. The Church's historical erasure clouds clarity. Male-centric traditions overshadow potential matriarchal whispers. Yet something stirs beneath the surface. Contextual analysis of early Christianity reveals a movement teetering between male authority and female spirituality. Mary, a figure who defies containment, redefines association, challenges ecclesiastical control through ambiguous presence. Consensus, elusive as Mary herself, inches closer with each scholarly debate. Few would deny her significant role. Whether as intimate partner or devoted follower, her influence echoes through the ages. A revolutionary against convention, a guide lighting the path toward progressive gender discourse. The narrative signifies more than history. It mirrors society's evolving views on gender and power within faith. Mary Magdalene stands as an icon of connection between humanity and divinity, action and inaction, acceptance and rebellion. Her story transcends binaries, envelopes us in an ever-present searching. As more is uncovered, the less defined her role becomes. Questions of her life invite reflection on the nature of belief itself. Her mystery, enduring, enigmatic, lures the inquisitive soul, encourages a reevaluation of what defines sacred partnership. In this gray area of the past, she lives, a beacon for the truth seeker. Her voice, unwavering, whispers through the centuries. A reminder that history cannot be subjugated, that the untold stories clamor for release. Hidden truths and challenging questions stir beneath Mary's legacy. A narrative not confined by dogma, waiting to unfold.